Soldier died by suicide death
A
of a
congressional
U.S.
subcommittee held a
soldier.
hearing today on military suicide prevention.
Well, numbers show about 22 veterans a day commit suicide.
Welcome to the Beyond 22 podcast. Our topic this episode is mindfulness. Yo, Jay, can you shed some light on what mindfulness is and what are the benefits?
Well, simply put, mindfulness is just being aware, being mindful of your thoughts, your sensory input, whatever it is you decide to be aware of, and it's putting yourself fully observant to that.
So, what's the purpose of mindfulness?
It's mainly to become aware of yourself, to understand yourself to the highest degree. But in doing that, you're able to raise your awareness of the surrounding environment, of everything around you and how you fit into that. And by doing that, you understand the world, the universe, and in turn, God.
That's pretty dope, man. That's a lot. Word up. So how does someone start that process?
Pretty simple things like we started out with an orange, and you would observe it, you would look at it, you'd hold it in your hand, see what it looks like from every angle. You'd look around at it, you'd observe the texture of the outside, you feel it on your fingers, see how it feels, see how it looks, smell it, really take it in for what it is. And then you'd open it up and see the difference in the inside and the outside.
Wow.
And you would look at it, you'd pull it out, smell the difference, and then you would hold it in your mouth for a little bit and feel that texture on your tongue. And then you bite into it and observe everything you can about the flavor, the what do you call it? Not moisture, but the
juices.
You're right. Yeah, juice, yeah. The juice of it. And you really take the orange in as fully as you could. We also did another exercise that I really liked, and I like to do this here because I like walking around barefoot, especially on the earth, because you get connected to the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we walked in this grass, and I like to do it in my yard, where you have, in certain parts, you have shadow, and certain parts you have where the sun is hitting it. So you're walking across and you feel the temperature variant, you feel the dew on your feet, and you feel the dryness in the area where it's lit, and the dewness under the shadows. And you feel the coolness of the damp, shadowy parts and the warmth of the open sunlight parts. You really take all that in and you feel it within yourself. So you see how it feels and you contextualize everything that comes to you. You just observe what's going on.
That's I mean, the way you break it down and stuff like that's crazy, because if you really do think about it, you can feel the heat from when the sun is hitting, and when you go to the shade, it does get cold. And I mean, just everything does make sense if it falls into place. Is there any health benefits for doing it?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a whole lot of health benefits with it. For me, the main thing is understanding yourself and your surroundings.
Gotcha.
And incorporating this into every aspect of your life. When you do that, you begin to pay attention to what's going on at such a deeper level than everyone else, that you aren't tricked by gimmicks, politicians' empty promises, conspiracies that are just bullshit. You're aware of the world around you,
right,
in real depth.
That's pretty dang cool. I mean, I would like to do some mindfulness practice myself.
Yeah. Well, the main one I've found is the ability to accept a much higher degree of pain than I was previously comfortable with.
Wow.
You can expand your tolerance of pain by accepting the way things are as not an instant reaction to that. Because we have an instant reaction to, when I was a kid, my grandmother would always, it was always either too hot or too cold. You call her up and ask her, how's the weather? And it was always, oh, it's cold, in the summer or in the summer. Yeah.
Right.
And she had, I don't know, in my head, I always asked, I wonder what the hell she considers to be like a perfect temperature. I mean, where would it be where it's not too cold and too hot? And I mean, I'm like 74 degrees with like a 3 mile per hour wind breeze, a warm breeze. And
Oh my God.
I think about that. We all have our comfort zones. This is like your perfect comfort zone. And we have a variation above and below that, that we're comfortable enough in to survive without friggin' throwing on a bunch of clothes and doing something or taking off a bunch of clothes, depending on which direction it goes. And we stay within that comfort range most of the time, or we try to. So I notice most people in the summer, they're under an air conditioner. In the winter, they're under a heater. I mean, I started doing it myself, and that's why I have the green room. During the summer, I go out there and I stay acclimatized to the heat and the humidity here. So it's not like, so when I step out in it, it's not such a drastic
change. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. With doing that, I've expanded my tolerance of the heat, because most people, as they stay under the air conditioner, as soon as they step out in that heat, they're
crashes.
yeah. And when I was in Alaska, people that stayed in under the heat all day, and didn't ever get out in the cold, they would freeze their ass off when they got out. I mean, it was just like, and I was so used to that cold that when it got up to like 20, or let me see, when it got up to 10 below zero, we're out wearing t-shirts and shorts, riding snowmobiles, man. It's like, you're so dialed into that. That's just your natural operating temperature, and you function at that temperature. So mindfulness helps you become aware of how not just temperature variance, but variance in pain. I mean, like, like when you have an injury, or after a hard workout where you have really sore muscles where you can barely move. Let me back it up. When I was a kid, I remember, I don't remember exactly when, but I got to a point where I noticed that I wasn't hurting as bad as I was putting on.
Makes sense.
I went through a stage where I started really, and this was young. I mean, it wasn't like I was that old. I just realized this, and I paid attention to it enough to catch myself when I did get hurt. Like when I fell down, scraped my knee, I would see it and I would freak out. And I realized that it's not the pain that's making me freak out. It's the visual observation of the disformity of myself. Because I look at, and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be disformed for my whole life. Now I'm just this horrible beast. And you take that in, and what you do is you rearrange the pieces in your mind, basically, is what I would do with pain, and say, is it really as bad as what? So you're really observing the pain. And one thing that I used to do, and I still do with migraines, before I take a migraine medicine, I ask myself, because I do study a lot of quantum physics and a lot of other stuff. Okay. If you look at what particles are made of. It's nothing really but energy. I mean, you're really
Everything's
talking
energy, right?
energy. Yeah.
Hmm.
And so really nothing exists, because even if you break down energy, it's still within the context of everything else, it's nothing at all. So there's more vast emptiness within a cell than there is actual physical things. So I ask myself when I get a migraine, what is there for pain to attach itself to? If there's
Damn.
nothing that exists, there's nothing that pain can attach itself to. And I back that up and I say, well, if there's nothing that pain can attach itself to, pain don't exist in the first fucking place.
That's deep.
Yeah, yeah. So,
That's deep, man.
but I mean, to a point, it works. Once you get to a certain point,
Yeah.
then it's like, fuck, okay, I can feel it still. Yeah, I can feel it still. It's fucking bad. But to a point, I've been able to, especially incorporating that with the use of cannabis, because since started using that after the Army, I went from having, I would say, a major migraine every day to every other day to not having any for months.
Wow.
Right. So it's definitely done, at least for me, has done a miraculous with my migraines. But the mindfulness practice of that and being aware, being observant of yourself and dissecting the pain.
Got it.
That's where you're going into it. And you can take that with any injury. Now it's harder to do with pain that you've had long term than
Gotcha. Chronic
like
pain and stuff like that.
chronic. Yes, that's the
Hmm.
word I was searching for. Thank you. It's harder to do with chronic pain than it is with acute pain, because the
Right.
acute pain, you see the beginning of it and you can visualize the end of it, by say, okay, this is here. It just came on. Where the hell does it even come from?
Right.
You start asking yourself these deeper questions and you break the pain down and you dissolve it and almost entirely. The harder thing, like I said, though, is chronic pain. So but that's what cannabis has been really proven to have an effect on. Pain meds like opioids and NSAIDs and stuff like that, they're good on acute pain, but they don't work worth the shit on chronic pain,
Makes sense. Yep.
and that's,
Yep.
and because they don't work worth the shit on chronic pain, people keep using them over and over and over and keep stacking them up so that
That's real stuff.
it's a disaster.
That's like what you get from the VA, man. You know what I'm saying? You get
Oh
pain
yeah,
meds,
yeah,
take your pain meds, but then you got to refill them. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't take them, then you're gonna keep hurting.
yeah. Pain meds and psych meds.
Yep, the psych meds for sure.
And
I know about both of those.
if they got on board with cannabis, they would eliminate that on both sides of the house. They could, I mean, think about if we started giving kids CBD
No
instead
lie,
of
man.
Prozac.
No lie. No lie.
CBD, they don't have the psychoactive effects that THC does.
That's true.
Yeah, I
That's true. I
mean,
mean, like I was saying, so my god brother, he's a big cannabis smoker, right? And the other day we was out in something called Dieselland out here, and they got a CBD shop, right?
yeah,
And then I was like, let's go in there, man. And we went in there, and he got a whole bunch of he got gummies, then he got some drops, CBD drops, and he's been using that, and it's actually been helping him with his sleep better, his nerves,
right,
instead of ingesting smoke. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have to only ingest smoke when you use the cannabis or whatever, CBD
right,
especially. So
yeah,
that's one of the things I definitely. I mean, me and you talked about it. How I want to get into
right.
into doing. Making the cannabis plant. the CBD plant and, you know, extracting from the CBD plant oils and topicals and all that other stuff. Definitely.
Yeah, it's when I was in Washington State and I grew my own, it was transformational, man. And I don't want to get into cannabis right now because this
Yeah,
is
yeah, that's
about
something else.
mindfulness, but we definitely have to do an episode on just cannabis because
For sure.
I mean, when like I said, when I grew in Washington State, I studied it intently and I really learned a lot about how to use it. And when I talk to people about it, they don't have a clue on how to use it properly. And I'm
Nope.
like, dude,
Nope.
if people knew how to use it, you can use it for weight loss, you can use it for
Anything,
anything.
man. Anything.
Anything.
Anything. I know, man, because I was talking to him about it and he's like, you know, I need to change. And it was just like, bro, you need to just like really take the consideration of taking just CBD, man, because CBD alone helps heal, man, instead of just getting super high. I was like, so why you smoke? I just want to get high. You know what I'm saying? Like that's it, because that's all he did when he was younger. So I mean, I love that. I really want to get into that CBD factor of everything and
Yeah.
learn all the aspects of that plant, man, because the cannabis is a healing plant, bro. So
Yeah.
yeah, and we do tend to work things up in our minds, bro. You know what I'm saying? About being hurt, like you said, if you see a scar, then if you
Oh
see a
my
scar, you be
God.
like, oh my God, I'm bleeding. And then you flip out from that. You didn't even, I mean, a lot of the times when people get stitches, right? You know, before they feel the pain, they don't feel nothing at all. They just see the blood.
Right.
And that's what they freak out about. You know what I'm saying? If you trying to think about it, like, I didn't feel that scar in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Until you
Yeah.
saw it, then it hurt it. And changing your
Yeah.
mindset really would help with that. So,
When I was a
mhm.
kid, me and my buddy Kevin were in my room playing Nerf basketball. And I went up and I dunked it. And when I came down, my wrist hit the thermostat, the corner of the thermostat. We had like rectangular thermostats, and the edge was like super sharp. I didn't even realize it until I sliced my shit open. And I didn't even, man, I was laughing and I was still playing.
Blood
And
everywhere.
and we're like, where the hell's all this blood coming from? And then Kevin saw it on my wrist. And as soon as I saw it, man, it's like what I said. I saw that deformity.
Right,
And I
right.
saw my wrist filleted open and the fat cells,
Oh,
the
geez.
adipose tissue. And it's kind of yellowy and God, well, like fat.
I know. Yeah, I know exactly what
And
you
you
mean.
see all the layers of skin and you've never seen that. You're a kid, and it's just,
Yeah,
oh my God. And then I started just screaming. I lost it.
exactly. I'm gonna die.
Well, hell yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's so true, man. That's so true.
That is where a lot of people have that instant reaction to things like
Uh-huh.
that, like not only pain, but temperature. So you're in a house, you go outside, oh my God, it's super hot. And
Uh-huh.
but if you're adjusted to that and you occasionally take in that hotter temperature rather than trying to escape it all the time.
Uh-huh.
And when you do take it in, you're not thinking the whole time, oh my God, this sucks. You're like, oh, it's isn't so bad. It's hot.
Exactly.
It's hot. Yeah, I can feel that. Let me see how it makes me feel internally. And you just start absorbing the heat, or you feel like when I was in Alaska, one of the things that I could do that I could withstand almost, well, any temperature that I've ever been in,
Right.
and what I was always doing was I would always imagine, I kind of, well, since I was 15, I when I was struck by lightning,
Right.
I imagined that I did die, but I imagined that I'm still dead and I'm just living out. I'm either in my heaven or hell right now. I'm
Right.
determining if this is my heaven or hell. I have to live it out. But if that's the case, then I'm not alive. I'm a ghost. So when I'm in Alaska, I can feel the cold temperature all around me, but instead of it being separate from me, I felt it through me as if I were it as well. So I didn't have any differentiation between the cold. And in doing that, I didn't get cold because I became the cold.
That's
It's kind of
crazy,
odd. I
bro,
mean,
man.
it's kind of
That's
an odd thing to
amazing.
do. I probably could do it now. It's just that I'm not brave enough. I'm not brave enough to do it because that's, really getting in that. I do it in the pool. I do it all winter. When I go in the pool, I don't feel the cold of the water like during the winter when it was 0 degrees Fahrenheit, and
Yeah,
I jumped in the pool and the edges are all frozen and everything. And what I do instead is I just feel the water as myself, and I don't try to resist it. And I think
right.
that's where you get the shivering, is your body seizing up, resisting against that cold instead of just relaxing and
Yeah,
becoming one with it.
definitely. I mean, that's it's all in the mind, man. It's all in the mind, bro.
Everything
That's
is.
that's that's intense as hell, bro. Like
What
we
you
went. So
create.
when I went to Alaska, I went on a marriage retreat to Alaska with me and my wife. Most beautiful place I've ever been in my life. I'll
Oh
tell you
yeah,
that much.
it's
But
gorgeous.
we did something called a polar plunge.
Oh yeah.
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 So everybody at the end, we all had to jump in the water. And my wife, she freezes like nothing. She freezes in the
She did it.
summertime, like you said. Yeah, yo, we both did it,
Oh my
bro.
God.
I mean, but in my head, I was already telling myself it ain't that cold. It ain't that cold. When I jumped in, it
Yeah.
wasn't that cold for me. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I just changed my mindset. So I swam back. I got my wife up. She was screaming. It's funny.
She built it up in her mind to be instant death.
Exactly.
Ah! That's my
Exactly.
wife. She did the same thing, man. I know it.
Yeah. So I swam out and I got out again, and then I jumped back in with somebody else. And then
Oh,
from there
cool.
I swam from like the end of the dock where everybody jumped in, but I swam all the way back into shore because it wasn't cold for me anymore. Because I already thought
Right.
in my head like it's not cold. This will feel good. It's refreshing. You know.
That's exactly what
Hmm.
man, when I get in the pool and it's cold as hell, that shock, that's it. It's so refreshing.
Yeah.
It almost like the skin feels a burning sensation on the outside, like it's
Yeah.
warm instead of cold.
I mean, even with athletes, if you think about it, man, they have to change their mindset when they're doing the ice bath, right?
Oh, hell
Because they
yeah.
just can't get
Yeah.
inside the ice bath and be like, oh, it's freezing, freezing, freezing. They got to go in the ice bath like, it's going to be good for my body. It's
Yeah.
not going to be as cold. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, man, that's pretty intense, bro, for real.
Yeah. And you can accept a fluctuation of temperature. I mean, 10 degrees either side of comfortable, or up to almost, I don't even want to put a number on it, but say 50 degrees, a
Like some
50
fun, yeah.
degree fluctuation and above or
That's
below,
crazy.
that would be 100-degree temperature variant.
Word up. That's crazy as hell if you think about it, bro. How is
Yeah.
that even possible?
Yeah. Well, I look at like the temperatures that I've experienced in the Army. Oh my God. I mean, because I sure as hell wouldn't be going in this if I was a civilian. I mean, why in the hell would
Right.
I need to go into 138 below zero? It was closer, I think, to 150 below zero, but that was just windshield because
Jesus.
it was 60 below zero. So I got in my bag. I was all comfortable and everything. I could still feel the cold through my bag. And normally you don't feel it as much through the bag.
Right.
And I dreamed that I was in a hurricane. And then when I woke up, I could see, like, I couldn't see it. I went to sleep in a tent. And when I woke up, I was in an open field and I could see the tent next to me, another tent, and then people screaming all around me, get up, we gotta put this tent back down. And I look up and the tent's
Hey,
still above me, but the sides are flying up and we gotta pin the sides down. And that
wow.
was Yeah, we were at the base. It was we're at the base of Mount Hayes, and it was winds coming off of that I forgot how many miles per hour winds they were. They were like 60, 70 mile per hour winds and minus 60 degree and 60 below zero Fahrenheit.
Wow.
So it was 138, 140 something below zero. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. And then in Iraq, 134 above zero.
I know. Gee, I know that, man.
So that's a 260 degree, 270 degree variant that I've been in my life. Now, not like from then to there, I don't go just from there to there, but yeah, Iraq.
Just talking about, I know, yeah, man. I mean, when I first went to Iraq, shit, I got dehydrated because we ran a 5K in like 120 degree weather. Me not thinking
the
I
hell
got
y'all running 5Ks.
That was the first sergeant who wanted us to run like that, so we just did it and fucking pass out type shit. So yeah, man. So then I got dehydrated. They had to put IV in me, and then we did it again. A few weeks later, and then I overhydrated because I was so damn nervous. So my mind was playing tricks on me. So
Yeah.
I need to drink more water. Then I overhydrated, my dumb ass.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's crazy as hell, man.
Man, I remember. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it is because we tend to work things up in our minds. You know what I'm saying? And it escalates or de-escalates, you know what I'm saying? Just like you said, changing your mindset. When it's cold, think of something hot and it probably will get warmer. You know what I'm saying? Just changing your mindset all the way around. That's real stuff.
Right. And when I realized that I've been real observant my whole life and didn't, and it's funny, I was real observant my whole life, but I never observed that I observed. I never observed that I understood anything. I just kind of paid attention to it and kind of pieced it all together years and years down the road. It's like the lightning thing. It played out that millisecond of time between life and death played out in every single aspect of my life for over 35 years before I ever really put two and two together and figured out what the hell it all kind of, and still it's still beyond comprehension of what I saw and what I but with the ability to see the reaction to the pain rather than the pain itself, when I was out of high school, I believe it was right out of high school, I had this therapist, the first therapist I ever had and the best one I ever had, Ward. He was like Yoda, man. I mean, this guy could see right through you, man. He would be like, really? Is that how you feel, Jason? I'll be like, oh God, you're right. I don't, it's like, but, Ward showed me, because believe it or not, I had anger issues back then. Right. And really, well, just now I'm realizing that he was the one who taught me mindfulness for the first time, because what he taught me was, instead of reacting, that instant reaction to that rage that you feel, that's exploding in you, that you've been building up and is ready to explode, he said, be observant enough of every moment of your life so that you see, right now, I have a choice. So you can differentiate moment to moment what choices to make. Like, say, okay, right now, I have a choice. My fist can lash out and punch this motherfucker right in the face, or I can just change and go on with my life.
Yeah.
And
that's dope.
And when you look at the consequences of what this is going to have versus what this is going to have, and if you can process that within that fraction of a second, because it comes on fast. I mean, when you've got anger issues and someone pushes your button to a point, you know, when they push, most people don't realize this, and this is why we have a lot of killings going on in America, is that when people are constantly pressed on from the outside world, when they're constantly being picked on, when they're constantly being, you know, when I was a kid and I was bullied, not only was I bullied at school, I worked with my mom's boyfriend and all those motherfuckers. And, you know, I worked carpentry with my mom's boyfriend and all of them, dude, they tormented me. I mean, like,
that's
it was
crazy,
fucking,
man.
when we were struck by lightning, I was talking with the only adult that I considered to be a friend at the time, Mike Connors. And he was just a wonderful man, you know. And we were talking about putting nitrous on a 84 Corvette. I remember that. and the, you know, the bolt of lightning shot out of the tree about 3 inches above my head, out of what was an old clothesline that had been cut off. And Mike was wearing wire rim glasses, and it hit him right between the eyes and killed him on the spot. And
that's
it
crazy.
was, yeah, Mike was the one adult that was a genuine kind person to me. And really at the time, the only person in my life that was kind to me. And, you know, it took me a long time to deal with that. But I don't even know what the hell I was going with that. But, I don't know why in the fuck I got so sidetracked, dude. What I was
because
doing,
you was feeling that whole situation, but because it was in your mind,
right?
you know what I'm saying, and you did have you was talking about when you guys got struck, you know what I'm saying. You have a split second,
Right. Well, that was, oh God, the lightning was so fast, man. I mean, it was. I'm talking mid conversation 1 minute and floating a tunnel of death the next. I mean,
that's
it's like,
crazy, man.
what the fuck, you know, towards the light. And anyway, so to be able to observe, and you're not going to be able to do it all the time. I mean, there's going to be times, you know, you drive like 40 miles and you don't even remember driving, you know, you're just like, oh shit, I missed my exit 40 miles ago. Because your head is somewhere else. You're thinking about something else. But if you can pay attention, you know, like those anger management issues that I had. Oh, that's where I was getting at. Mike, okay. Yeah. The anger management issues, people don't realize that people that are picked on nonstop have all this shit built up and compressed in, and they're just fucking ready to explode. I mean, think of an atom bomb. All they need is something to split that atom and then boom,
explode.
Yeah. And no one takes anyone else's feelings into consideration because that's gay as hell. You know, that's what people see. And it's like, oh, hell no, I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about, yeah. Well, then don't care about your feelings when he murders your whole fucking family.
Exactly.
You know? So don't fucking cry, motherfucker, when they come in and skin your whole family alive. You know, it's like, I'm serious. You're really
but that's real
pushing,
stuff, man.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, just like you said about bullying. I don't mean to cut you off, but about bullying. You know, I can tell you something. My wife is a real mindful person. Just listening to you and everything, all the points you put out, while we talking, I'm thinking about it. My wife knows how to calm her situation down on the spot, man. She got a real strong mind. And that's something I need to work on personally, just like what you say does hurt as well. And if somebody says something to me, I want to react like this real
Yeah.
fast. You know what I'm saying? So thinking about, all right, just like you said, if somebody bullying you, you just like try to think about, hey man, leave it alone and move on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And me and my daughter and my wife had a discussion, I think last week. That's why I said it was a rough week last week. But some little girl is bullying my daughter. And we just found that out, that she was bullying her since the beginning of the school year.
Yeah.
You know, and then my daughter on, I think it was Monday, she just started crying when I picked her up, like, oh, like going hysterical. And then that's when she told us, because she got pushed to the point that it exploded. Now
Right.
imagine she thought like I do. If you keep pushing me, I'm gonna explode instantly.
Yeah.
But she didn't. She held it and she exploded with tears and not physically attacking the girl back. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I mean, mindfulness does work in all aspects of life. I'm talking about marriage. You need to be mindful of what. I mean, I'm learning all this right now because I'm reading a lot of books too about marriage, and I've been married for 17 years, but I'm still learning how to be a better husband, because at the end of the day, me being selfish of the way I was thinking, you know what
Right.
I'm saying? Because I wasn't taking the consideration of my wife's feelings at all. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
was listening to her, but I'm not paying attention to her feelings, how she feels. Like if she comes at me, I want to come back at her stronger. You know what I'm saying? I need to
Right.
be mindful of that stuff. I mean, because that'll help people out. And reading all this stuff, like I've been reading, and a lot of it does say, "Hey, man, just shut up and listen, man. Shut
Yeah.
up and listen to how she feels, not how she's talking to you."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's changing your mindset as always. You know what I mean? So that
Oh,
is
hell yeah.
intense, man. I really have to do that.
Well, when my wife and I got together, we were both coming out of horribly unhealthy marriages, and we what we did to make this such a success is we looked at how we were in those marriages and took accountability of ourselves from instead of just going, oh hell, it was my ex's fault, everything was,
Right, right,
and taking 100% accountability of, okay, so when we find ourselves in a situation, instead of having that reaction, like, and acting like you said, I'm going back to, I've got to have the last word on this, or I've got to say something about this or something, instead of doing that, just saying okay and being done at that, that's fine,
right.
you know knowing that we have differences, but we still agree to that we love each other.
Definitely, man. That's amazing.
Now, getting back to identifying your reactions, I'm thinking about this like target acquisition. Like when you go into a room, you got all these targets in the room. And when you engage with those targets, when you bring your rifle up to engage with those targets, you have to make that instantaneous identification. Is that a threat, or is it, like, you don't shoot the hostages.
Right,
So you're making a flash interpretation of the room, who's a threat and who's not.
right.
And you're engaging the threats, but you're not engaging the non-threats.
Gotcha.
So if you use that skill on your decisions rather than a instant reaction, some things should be instant reaction because they need that automatic, and they're not necessary to think about because it's something. But like your anger issues, when someone has anger issues or something like that, they need to be mindful of themselves enough to say, okay, right here is the decision point. Right here is the decision point. And yeah, it might feel gratifying to act out on it right here, but what's that going to cost me down the road? You know,
Right.
you need to be able to process that so fast. And the more you're mindful of everything you do, the faster you're going to be able to process that. It's like training. It's like training your mind to
Yep.
identify what's going on all around your environment, your circumstances, your situation, and your reaction to it.
Right.
So you're in control instead of someone else. And I think that's a big thing that mindfulness gives you, is puts you in control of yourself.
That's what you need. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Shit, like when I got out the army, you know, I let my mind take me to a deep place that I didn't want to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's because I wasn't really in control of my mind. I was just in control of the fact that I'm a fucking failure. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
until I really realized and changed my mind, like, hey, bro, what the fuck are you doing, man? You got kids, you got a wife, you got a family to lead. You know what I'm saying? And then you train your mind to do different things, act different, and get back on your feet like we doing now, man. That's real stuff.
Yeah. Well, what you did, you had to be, you did mindfulness right there without even knowing it, because what you did was you were mindful that you were thinking negative thoughts, and that it was bringing you down, and that you needed to think something else. So you're mindful enough to catch yourself thinking those thoughts. And that's a big thing, because most people, once they get caught up in that downward spiral, man, all it is you're going down. You're going right down the toilet with all the other shit. Just instead of just leaving it, just letting it drop and swimming back up to the surface, you're drowning. So you can't see it for yourself. If you're mindful enough, then you can differentiate. Okay, I'm starting to go down that rabbit hole. You need to take back control of your mind, and you need to start focusing on, I think the best thing for people to focus on is purpose.
Yep. God damn, that was dope.
That
was dope, man.
When I was meeting with the group psych every fucking, I don't remember, once a week or whatever, he kept, man, I was like, okay, and I get what he was trying to do. He was telling me, hey, take your mind off of all these things, think of something else, find something to consume your time with other than that. So play video games. So I started playing video games, and really it might have given me a break from that, but it was more, I don't know. I get worked up playing video games, so it's not really relaxing to me.
Right.
And I think where therapy has failed in a lot of ways is at least my therapy was to distract me rather than to allow me to dive in. And so many people are afraid to dive in and determine, because once you understand yourself and you understand where you have purpose, once you can find purpose for yourself, then you have a reason to live. I mean, if you're just fucking playing video games, what the fuck is your purpose in living?
Exactly. You
Unless
just putting a Band-Aid or taking medicine, like we said earlier, like the VA gives. You just taking the Band-Aid, slapping it on, you taking your pills, and then it's gonna come back.
Right. You're putting a Band-Aid on a fucking wrist. You cut your wrist and you're putting a Band-Aid on it to plug it up.
Hell yeah.
So
that's real stuff.
Yeah, I think people, if they can find purpose in life, and being mindful is a way to find purpose. I mean, yeah, it starts with tasting the orange, feeling the wet, the moist ground under your feet, feeling the
Yep.
coolness. But then you take that and you start breaking down, how do I feel? You start really diving into the way you operate as a human and say, okay, why do I think like that? Why do I act that way? Why do I
Right.
constantly have to build myself up to other people? Or,
That's
why do
true.
I give a fuck? Yeah.
Why exactly? Why do I even care what they fucking think? And that's your mind playing tricks again. I could go back to bringing up the situation about say my marriage, right? I was loving my wife a certain way in my mind, the way I wanted to show love to my wife, right?
Yeah.
But the way she wanted to show love, she wanted me to show love to her, was totally different. So
Oh,
now I
yeah.
got to switch my mindset and be like, I want her to be happy. I'm not letting her be happy. I'm not letting her be sad, mad, nothing, because I want her to be happy.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I have to change my mindset. Like, I gotta let her be sad. I gotta let her be mad. I can't just always protect my wife. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Be the fixer. That's what I was like. In my head, in my mind, I'm like, I gotta fix the situation, because all my life, that's all I did. Fix the situation. When something goes bad, I need to fix it.
Well,
You
same
know what I'm
with
saying?
kids, man.
Exactly.
Same with kids, because everybody tries to fix their kid's situation, and in doing that, they're not allowing their kids to experience their
Life,
own,
man. Yeah.
their own way of fixing. So they expect someone else to always come in and fix it for them.
Man, it's crazy, bro, because you're talking about this, and it's just like everything is playing in my head like that. You know,
Well, that's when you
I
get
always thought, yeah,
a
I always thought I was
conversation going between two people, and they have synergy like you and me, because we start building on and bouncing
yeah,
off
man.
of each other.
It's so cool, man. I really appreciate that, guys. Damn, man, yeah, because I'm thinking like all this stuff. I'm always trying to, because in my head, I need to make sure my family's good, but I'm not letting them really live life, man, and understand. All right, he made a mistake. It's okay
Now,
to make a mistake. You know what I'm
right?
saying? It's okay to get hurt. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like say for instance, this week I found out my son is about to get surgery to take out a permanent teeth. You know what I'm saying? So in my head, I'm like, man, I let him down. I let my
I
son
don't
down.
get that. I don't
Yeah,
get
you know what
that.
I'm saying?
How'd you let
The
him
reason
down?
is because he got hurt in school, right? And we didn't pursue suit to school to the school because
Okay.
they were supposed to be watching him. Now, finding out all the information, we passed the years that we can do suit for him.
Oh
You know
my
what I'm
God,
saying?
really?
And he has delayed intellect. You know what I'm saying? My son he has a delayed response to things because he's autistic and he has delayed development. So when we first started pursuing the whole, he has to get a surgery in his mouth. He wasn't really paying attention to none of that. But now
Yeah.
when the reality came, he's sad, and my son never gets sad. You know what I'm saying? So when he got sad, it was just like, man, I let you down, son. You know what I'm saying? In my head, it broke me. It broke me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's in my head, and I should not really feel sad about that, because this is a lesson he needs to learn too. Is that you have to watch what you're doing as well. You know what I'm saying? Because what he was doing was playing on the monkey bars, and he jumped to try to get to the other side because in his mind he was having fun doing it, but he missed the monkey bars and hit his mouth on the other side.
Oh
Now he
man.
knows. I need to
Damn.
let him know that he needs to learn. You can't do that. You can't do things like that. But that's
Yeah.
changing your mindset. You know what I'm saying? And it all plays a factor in everything. You got me thinking like crazy, Jay. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, when you start really, the more you really start breaking down things, and the more you start paying attention, the more things become apparent to you.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like, you start really seeing things. And for me, like I said, with the lightning thing, I was 35 years of every day that playing out in the back of my mind, like a Hintergedanke. It's a German word for a thought that's in the way back of your mind. And with that playing out every day in the back of my mind for 35 years, I finally made some sense of it. And I was like, oh, well, shit. But not only that, it's experiences that we have along the way.
Right.
Is being aware. I mean, you take this mindfulness thing, and really it's being aware enough to see the experiences that you've had that play part into who you are now.
Right.
You know, I got to, when I started really dissecting myself, when I got out of the Army, I said, now that I'm done with all that, now is the time for me to heal. I don't want to
Word
be
up.
I don't want to spend the rest of my life miserable, feeling like I want to kill myself. I mean,
Right.
fuck, what's the purpose in fucking living if that's all you want to do is, or that if all you do is feel guilt or
Yeah.
feel this depression all the time. So I said, I have to heal myself. And that's because no one else can heal you. That's what people
That's
don't
right.
understand.
That's
And
right.
even if something a psych says to you flips that switch, it's you that is doing the flipping.
Mm-hmm.
Your mind has to make the connection between this and this.
Right.
And until it does, they can say all the fucking profound shit in the world. It's not going to make any sense to you. But when
Right.
it clicks, everything in your life comes to a focal point, which is now. And you
Hell yeah.
understand. And when I got to looking, I said, well, how did I get to this point in my life? You know, like I said, like I've said on one of I think on our pilot episode, I spent 3 weeks in my shed, absolutely alone,
Mm-hmm.
with no input from the outside world. But what I didn't just sit there in blank space. I did for many parts of that because that's a lot of time just sitting, you know.
Yeah.
But I wrote a lot about, and I got everything out. I flow everything out that I can. And even after that 3 weeks, I mean, that became my life, was not
Mm-hmm.
interacting with people. So I spent more or less 5 years isolated to the world afterwards, writing my book. And so, but that 3 weeks is where it all started. And within that 3 weeks, I asked myself, I said, okay, where I'm at right now, how did I get here? What
Mm-hmm.
are the intersections in my life that took me to this location that I'm at right now? And I broke it down and I said, okay, these are the critical aspects of my life. And they didn't have to be like these profound experiences. Like, you know, I did have a couple of really profound experiences, but certain things that just shaped you. I mean, I
Right.
remember as a kid, me and my mom driving home in a blizzard and her truck getting stuck in the snow. And we've got the only groceries that we've had in months that we
Damn.
didn't steal. And we had to walk like 10 miles in hip deep snow. Well, for me, it was like
Damn.
chest deep snow. And
Yeah.
I remember the snow was so blinding that I couldn't see 10 feet in front of me, you know, and she's like, just
Yep.
keep fucking walking. And I got to the point where I felt I couldn't walk anymore. And I was like, no, I can't walk anymore. And she just said, fuck it, then you're going to die. And she just started walking and she left me.
Damn.
And
That's gangster, bro.
I was like, holy shit. And I sat there for a second. And then I jumped up and I started running in what was left of her footsteps until I caught up with her.
There you go.
But it was like, you know, that taught me never to quit because I was going to fucking die. I mean, I was only like, well, I was in first grade probably. So I don't even know how old you are in first grade, but
yeah, probably about what, 6, 7?
yeah, something like that. It was at the same time we
Yeah,
were at the
7. Yeah,
farm,
7. Yeah.
you know,
Damn.
and like all those stories that were told at the farm that made me become what I became, you know. And I also look at right around that same time, that same year was the year that Star Wars came out. The New Hope, 1977, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
And the attorney my mom was working for in Colorado was like, you got to take Jason to see this. It will change his life. And it put everything in perspective for me, because I was like, I understand now all this is the Force. I mean, to me, that made sense when all these conversations that I've listened to around the campfire and everything like that had really broadened my perspective, so that when I saw Star Wars, it put words to what I knew.
Gotcha.
And for me, that was transformational. You know, that year was a pivotal point in my life, and it was so young, but I used the aspects of that year to reshape my life now. And I look back, I become that same kid that I was then. And I say, this is how I can find the way to live my life going forward. But what you had to do was look at those different points in your life and be mindful of, this is the detour that took me to where I'm at now. Exactly. I could have taken this and ended up, you know, sucking dick at the bus stop for a hot meal.
Oh, that's crazy, man.
You know,
yeah, man. Dog, that's crazy. You gotta be done.
That's what our old first sergeant used to say in BNOC. Oh my God, you're gonna end up down at the bus stop sucking your own dick for the hot meal.
Oh my God. All right, guys, let me with that note, change your mindset, guys. You change your mindset, you change your life.
Yep. Yeah. Be mindful what you're thinking and use it to your advantage.
Word up. So that's it for today. Be sure to listen to our podcast on Spotify, like, share, and leave a comment in the Q&A at the bottom of each episode. That's it for now, guys. Take care.
Soldier died by suicide. Death of a
Congressional
U.S.
subcommittee held a
soldier.
hearing today on military suicide prevention.
Too many of our nation's heroes are taking their own lives, and we, as a nation, need to bring that to an end.
This episode was bad the fuck ass, bro. You had me in my feelings like a motherfucker. Bro. I'm over here going through my mind like.
We started reading the.
We said, "Fuck that shit."
I know, but I think that's great, because I was like, we got so in depth